I wish I can stop bopping my head when that music plays. I can't promise that. Anyhow, good afternoon and welcome to another day that the Lord has made. Welcome to another day of Cloud9. Welcome to ACTN. Welcome wherever you're looking from in Trinidad and Tobago. Looking us online, you name it, various streams of activity that you can look at us. Welcome once again at another week. Again, thank you for all your support and love during the first week of the program. We really do appreciate it. And of course, we're here once again with you on this wonderful Monday afternoon. If you're on the workplace, tell the boss, get a little break to watch this show now. While you're eating. I had to run away just now. Know about them thing. So, teeth a little dance. No teeth. No. Anyway, and with those at home, welcome once again. Thank you for allowing us into your living room or wherever you look at television. So let's jump right into things today in our first segment at high noon to see what's been taking place in the news lately. Let's go. Well, the missing Josh was the whip, horse. So, in the high noon, so the mid-year review was on, as you know, Friday. And since then, as expected, the reactions have been many. Some of them, of course, very dismal, as they viewed the mid-year review as a dismal outlook. So many sectors and various individuals, they have been protesting, and one of the areas that we've seen some protests going on since Friday, and they may continue this week, would be surrounding the gaming industry. As a matter of fact, Friday, not long after actually around the same time, as a matter of fact, that the mid-year review was being, of course, delivered by the finance minister. They gathered in front of the Parliament building to address the concerns of the increased taxes imposed on the gaming industry. Now, this is nothing new. It has been on the drawing board for some time now, but it has gone beyond the drawing board and possibly into a full picture. Now, is it safe to say that it may be game over for the gaming industry? And it is, the thing is, many people have been against this move because of the many people that are employed within the gaming industry. But truth be told, this was something that was, as we say in Trinidad and Tobago, bound to happen at some point in time because of the flow of income or the flow of, I should say, revenue that flows through the gaming industry. What I think is important moving forward, however, in terms of how it's implemented, that being the taxes, I gather it would be on a phased basis because of the number of people that would be affected by it. So what I would hope in terms that they will still meet with the various agencies, which I believe that they will do because it has been discussed, as I said in the past, it is nothing new. And maybe they may consider introducing this on a phased basis so that it wouldn't affect those who are employed with the gaming industry, whether you're for it, whether you're against it. At the end of the day, there are those who are employed, and what they need to do is meet with the various agencies and see how it can be done I guess to avoid a major situation where people are laid off. But to say that this is a surprise and the public should act surprised by this, it was long in coming. It was long in coming. It is something that is needed. It is something that was needed, and it was not done. And it's something that it is needed because there are many areas whereby taxes are imposed, and the gaming industry, they've always been able to somewhat escape, if you want to call it, well, some call it a noose, but but they've been able to escape in the years gone by. So this is something that shouldn't be a surprise to many in terms of regulating. And again, people need to understand it's more so a case of regulating the industry, because we have many industries in this country, let's be honest with ourselves, TNT, that are not regulated at all. At all. And things are done not necessarily above board. So my thing is, once the gaming industry and those involved are doing things above board, then therefore there should be no need to worry. Not so? Good. So if there's no need to worry, then therefore meet with the various ministers of government, and again, maybe something can be done in a phase basis. But let's not act all surprised, TNT. This was bound to happen, and again, it's about regulating. If you have nothing to hide, there's nothing to worry about. Not so? Right. So, moving forward now to another issue, and it starts from the day the issue of mid-year review came up. There was the overwhelming concern about the increase in price of doubles. So, it went up to $5 in some circles. There are some who still sell it at $4. But now there's a talk of doubles going double. Yeah. We hearing talk now that doubles might go for $10. Scratch my nose on that one, right? $10. Now, this is my thing. I'm not going to knock it yet. I'll tell you why. Because you need to assess everything in terms of the conditions for the price increase, etc., etc. And of course, doubles vendors will then have to justify the need to jump to, not just from now. If you look at the price increases of doubles, let's say since it was, what, 50 cents? It was 50 cents? 50 cents, I think. Yeah, right. It went to like $1 and $1.50. Then it jumped from $1.50 to $2. Then from $2 to $3. Then from $3 to $4. And then from $4 to $5. So the price increase has been, very steady and for the most part reasonable. Now, there are those who are literally seeing double because of this talk. Now, right now, it's this talk at TNT. Those start to go and buff with doubles, man. I want to go up to $10, and then you're still going to buy it. Right? So, at the end of the day, there's talk now of $10. But we have to wait and see if that is really going to happen. I personally, I don't think it's going to increase by double, I'll be honest with you. So I don't want people to start panicking that, they're not going to get their daily supply of bara, or, their champion breakfast will no longer be, in their reach. Don't worry. I really don't think that they're going to go up to $10. That's just my humble opinion. Maybe it's just talk. Maybe people are just venting. But nevertheless, I suspect it will go up again. Maybe by $1 or $2. $1 or $2. I really don't see it going up to 10. But again, when we reach that bridge, we'll cross it. Some might find the bridge a little shaky to cross on, but when we reach that bridge, we'll cross it. But again, it may go up once again. So we're going to see, of course, there have been many reactions since Friday. We're going to continue looking to see the trend over the next few days as we continue to grapple with recession in Trinidad and Tobago. But as I said before, and I'll say it again, recession is a season, and with all seasons, it comes to an end. And this is a season where, a recession season, as a matter of fact, is one where God is sometimes calling us to rise up as a people in our own individual way as well as together. So let us not panic. Even those in the gaming industry, do not see this as the end of the road. If it is a situation arises whereby you may be left without a job, maybe God is directing you somewhere else or into something else that may be more beneficial for you. Sometimes we don't see it And sometimes God has to remove things for us to see it. So again, don't see this as the end, but see this as, okay, where does God want to take me? Right? But nevertheless, I say it again, that every industry must be regulated, and nobody, no one is above the law. So when there's nothing to hide, there is nothing to worry about. Okay? Okay. So let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to switch gears in our Wise Up segment, and it's an article that I saw today in the news, at the front page story actually, and where they're saying that domestic violence is was on the increase, during the long holiday weekends. And the title of the story I found very alarming and disturbing all in the same breath. Rum and licks. And I think all of Trinidad and Tobago know how I feel about rum from personal experiences. So when we get back, we'll go into this topic in some details. And I have a little documentary I want to show you. And ironically, when I had stopped drinking years ago, and I was looking for inspirational information to help me overcome my addiction, and even during my withdrawal to help me deal with it, because it was bad. There was this one that I came across, powerful. Couple months after, I could not find that video anywhere. I went on the site, couldn't find it. Checked all over, couldn't find it. And I remember going on the site, the link said no longer available. They pulled the video. And I've seen so many other videos about alcoholism, on YouTube, but this one is not there. So what was so important? Why did they have to pull this one? I have my own suspicions, because the message is powerful, and sometimes, I find these messages have a tendency of just falling through the cracks. Well, by the grace of God, I saved it. I actually forgot I saved it, and I'm going to play it today. So just wait and see. For all those who struggle with alcoholism or don't understand, let's not even go that far. Or those who just like to drink, I want you to watch this documentary, and then I'll leave it up to you to assess it. But first, take a break. When we come back, we'll touch on this story, and then we'll go to that documentary entitled Spirit in a Bottle. We'll be right back.
Don't adjust your set. No, you're not seeing things. It's me, Sheldon Yearwood, and I'm back with you on a new network, new time. We live in a time where many people are bound by the pressures of life, and sadly they have forgotten how it was to smile. So join me at 12 noon, Mondays to Fridays from the 4th of April on ACTN. This is Cloud9, the only show that can truly make you smile.
Welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago, to Cloud9 on ACTN. Thank you for staying with us. And of course, always remember to smile even when your clouds maybe seem to be hovering too low over your head. There's always a light, a silver lining at the end of it all. Let's go now to our next segment quickly. Wise Up segment. Let's use some wisdom, people, on this particular topic. Let's go. Welcome back. Let's pull the clips up one time, guys. This is a story at the front page of the Newsday. Rum and licks. Domestic violence on the increase during long holiday weekends. Long weekends and extended holidays have been suggested to contribute to domestic violence because of extended drinking and drug use in some cases. And some of the violent cases of murders were attributed to drug abuse. Industrial Court President and former presiding judge in Domestic Violence Court, Deborah Thomas Felix, thinks there is a link. Thomas Felix is also a published author who co-authored the Judicial Training and Resource Manual, Domestic and Gender-Based Violence. Ms. Readers quote quickly, I can tell you when I was presiding in court, when there were holidays, the numbers increased in the list dramatically. If there is a long weekend, the domestic violence list spirals because people go to party, they drink, this happens. Thomas Felix told, of course, the Newsday during an interview yesterday at the Powerful Ladies of TNT Sports Day, Silvertine Road, Sports Ground, Long Sickler. Come back to me, guys. Now, this is nothing new, but I'm glad the article came out because, as I said, all of TNT knows that I take the issue of alcoholism or alcohol on the whole very seriously, very personally as well. Now, we have to understand something. We have to understand, that's why you're looking at the title and wondering what is the whole thing behind Spirit Lash. We've heard that term used very often in political circles, but we're not going there. I'm trying to make the point that when someone is intoxicated, or when you drink and that goes to your head, it's like a trigger. You have like a gun trigger, it's like a trigger. And what the spirit of alcohol does, and I say that because people need to understand that it's a spirit in a bottle. What the spirit of alcohol does, it triggers your emotions. We are emotional and spiritual beings. Flesh is the emotional part. So it triggers that emotion. So there are some people who naturally have a very aggressive disposition. There are some depressive. There are some a lot of anxiety, different emotions. And what that does is trigger it. And different things can happen. And when I saw that they had raised the taxes on cigarettes and alcohol, I was like, funny enough, that ain't gonna stop man from drinking. As a matter of fact, it has some men might drink more because they say they have a reason not to drink. But the raise rum boy, let me take a drink for that. Yeah. But cigarette going on, boy, let me take a smoke for that. Yeah. Because that's how we seem to relieve stress. That is how society has painted a very glorious picture of alcoholism. Glorious picture. From the billboards to the magazines, you know. And I could talk that because, listen, I was on that wagon for real years. So nobody can tell me about alcohol. I drank everything except flit. You understand? And I say it very openly because, I can see it more open now. And it almost killed me. So when I talk from experience. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. And that's why I don't promote it. So that being said, we have to understand what alcohol is. We have to understand what it does, and we have to understand that alcohol in itself is a physical, it's a spiritual thing masked in a physical substance. That's why I made the point as a spirit. So when you find that now, again, there are some people who react to alcoholism differently. There are those who get violent. So when you see they lash out, understand that there's a spirit behind the licks. Hence why I put the point about spirit lash. There are those who get very reserved and quiet. I was one of those. Very reserved, very quiet. Right? Because it more depressed me than anything else. So everybody's different. The point is, the aim is to kill you. And I don't care if you take one or two or you take plenty. Eventually, you find yourself saying things like this. I could do it a drink today, boy. I feel for a drink today. Anytime you tend to rely on your feelings too much, you're in trouble. You hear what I'm saying? Anytime you tend to rely on your feelings too much, you're in trouble. No, there are those who might want to take me to task on this. Please do. Please do. Because I said I've been there. I have examined every avenue. I have studied it. I've lived it. And I've been spiritually free from it for the past 3 years. And during that time, there's certain things that God showed me. So who want to challenge me on it? Challenge me. But I will never promote it. And it's not about just a physical thing, you know. But what we're going to do in this next video coming up, we're going to show you both sides to balance off the argument. We're going to show you the spiritual connection with alcoholism and alcohol, and then we're going to show you the scientific part of it. Scientific, biblical, same deadly outcome. So that's what I'm saying. As a country, we talk about some drugs as being illegal and others legal. So I don't understand the hypocrisy. Because it is a drug. It is a drug. And if we're not careful, that's what I'm saying, but we glorify it because it's legal. And we say it's okay. You have to understand that there are different, when it comes to alcohol, there are different categories of alcohol. Some talk about the medicinal industry, that's different categories. So what you're selling, exactly which one you're promoting, which one you're glorifying. So come on, we could argue this all day, but you know what? I'm going to stop there for now, because I could go on and on about this. Let's take a break and come back. We're going to go to our next segment. And this next segment, the documentary is 20 minutes long. It's not that long, but I want people to really pay attention to what the gentleman has to say. He's going to give two examples, the spiritual aspect of it, and then in between, you talk about the scientific aspect of it. Nevertheless, both show that there's nothing good about it. All right? Let's take a break. When we come back, we go to our next segment, Let's Chat. And you're going to probably chat with your own self if you have a problem to see if you need help. Let's take a break.
See, he looked so handsome, so good, so healthy. I didn't know, and I unknowingly got it from him. I tested positive for HIV, and when the doctor gave me the news, I knew my life would never be the same. But a statistic I said I'd never be. So beginning from that day, 10 years ago, I began writing my own success story. My days are filled with love, fun, and laughter because my family stood with me, supported me, and did not reject me. I am a success story. Even my doctors worked with me, and I've religiously taken my meds to remain healthy. I am a success story. Risky sexual behaviors I no longer engage in. Instead, I choose to encourage you young man, you young woman. The safe choice is really the right choice. And wait, be responsible, be accountable, know the facts, and I tell you, you too can have your own success story.
Welcome back, welcome back. I smile today because I'm free. I tell you, smile today because I'm free. And smiling doesn't necessarily mean that things are always going to be perfect. It means that you know that at the end of the day you're free, even amidst the turmoil, even amidst the drama. You know that God has set you free, and He's going to keep moving mountains out of your way daily, because mountains are going to come daily. I don't think it's not going to happen, but He moves them daily. And one of the things that I had to set myself free from was my addiction to alcohol. So this particular documentary, I must say it was Holy Spirit led, because I was going through, as we say, a dread withdrawal when I had stopped drinking, and trying to find some inner peace before I got saved. I was looking on YouTube. I was just looking for stuff, just not to go crazy. And I came across this documentary, and I loved it. From the time I saw it and how the guy put across the information, I really loved it. And it comprises our Let's Chat segment today. So, guys, let's go to our next segment, and I'm going to introduce the video at this time. All All right, without further ado, in this segment, you're going to hear from a preacher who is going to give a very realistic position on alcohol and its dangers. Please pay attention. For those who, number one, are struggling with alcohol addiction, please, I really beg you this time, and I'm saying because I know sometimes it's a struggle. I was once very ignorant towards, I didn't want to hear anything from anybody, but I'm telling you, please just take a listen, and then you analyze for yourself. And for those who have relatives and you may be wondering, how to understand this thing, take a listen as well. And this is going to be the first of many topics I'll be discussing on this. Trust me, at ACTN and on Cloud9. So let's go now to this documentary entitled "Spirit in a Bottle."
Have you ever seen someone just totally change into someone totally different right before your very eyes in a matter of just a few hours or minutes? During the transformation, some use profanity, talk loudly in a disrespectful way with absolutely no regard for what they're saying or how they're saying it. Some get confrontational, even to the point of wanting to fight others. Some do just the opposite and become very jovial, friendly, or very quiet and laid back. What happened to them in that short period of time? I think most of you probably know by now that I am describing someone who has been indulging in something that has put them under the influence. The question is, however, under the influence of what? Many would say drugs or alcohol, but I believe these are merely substances that open the door for the real influencer, which is Satan, the devil. Clearly, these people, based on their behavior, are not themselves. But if they are not themselves, then who are they, or what are they? Have you known or seen anybody get so out of it that they don't even remember some or any of the things they did while under, let's just say, Satan's influence or possession? This state of mind is pretty disconcerting when you think of it this way. I mean, really, doesn't it seem like a possession has taken place? Before we can answer that, we must first look at what it means to be possessed by something. Here's the definition I think best describes what happens to someone who is possessed.
Okay, let's take a look at the word possessed. Definition, first definition, spurred or moved by a strong feeling, madness, or a supernatural power. All right, now let's take a look at the word possess as a verb. And the definition that I would like to take a look at in particular is number 3, where it is defined as of a spirit, especially an evil one, to occupy, dominate, or control a person from within.
At this point, I would like to narrow this discussion down to the effects and dangers of alcohol specifically. I chose to focus on alcohol because it is legal and probably the most widely abused, which I think makes it the most underrated, underestimated, addictive, and destructive substance out there. I also chose to talk about alcohol because I am seeing firsthand how Satan is using this poison to destroy some people very near and dear to my heart. In fact, as I work on this project, I am hoping and praying that when I finish this DVD, it will help those that I know and love who are currently being hurt, and in my opinion, their life is in danger because of this poison. I hope and pray that I can get this project finished in time for them to see it. This situation is just that serious. As a result of the tough economic times we are living in, it seems to me that alcohol abuse is on the rise as more and more people are literally drinking themselves to death. Satan has possessed and convinced some to give up on life and hence God and to use alcohol as their chosen suicide. I think that it is important to state right here for anyone who might be in this state of mind that Satan wants you dead, because he wants your soul, or more accurately stated, he doesn't want you to find and love God and for God to win your soul, because Satan wants to hurt God, and every time he causes a soul to be lost, Satan hurts God. Not many can see the spiritual battle that coincides with substance abuse and challenge. My focus here is how alcohol, a mind-altering substance, allows one to be possessed by spirits. Isn't it interesting how some types of alcohol are actually referred to as spirits?
What got into these two grown men to make them carry on in this manner? Are they gone? Have you heard someone who was drunk use that phrase before? Gone? I wonder where they went. Let's look at why some alcohol drinks are referred to as spirits. Here are some findings from my research regarding why some alcohol drinks are referred to as spirits. Alcohol comes from the Arabic alcohol, which was the name of a body-eating spirit. In fact, the English gold comes from the same word. When Arab alchemists ingested alcohol, their senses deadened and they named the substance according to its body-taking qualities. Knowing this, European speakers who understood its etymology coined the use of the term spirits for alcohol. And I also found this. Distilled alcohol was first noted in Europe among alchemists during the mid-12th century. These alchemists were more involved in medical elixirs than in creating gold from lead. The term spirit is Middle English with its roots in Anglo-French or Latin. It stems from the Anglo-French term spirit, and from the Latin word spiritus, which literally means breath, from the term spirare, meaning to blow, breathe. The term spirits is typically given to those distilled beverages which are low in sugars and which contain a minimum of 35% alcohol by volume. Some of the common types of spirits include gin, vodka, and rum. If they are gone, who is then putting on this ridiculous display? Okay, let's do a quick review and take another look at this paragraph right here. Okay, it reads, when Arab alchemists ingested alcohol, their senses deadened, and they named the substance according to its body-taking qualities. Another way to say that is because of its body-possessing qualities. But is it the alcohol that takes over the body or something else? As I stated before, I believe that the substance is just the mechanism that opens the doorway for an actual spirit to take over the body. Let's review one more paragraph. The term spirit is Middle English with its roots in Anglo-French or Latin. It stems from the Anglo-French term spirit, and from the Latin word spiritus, which literally means breathe, from the term spirare, meaning to blow, breathe. When we breathe into something or blow into something, we give it life, right? Doesn't it sound similar to what God did in Genesis with Adam? Let's take a look. Genesis 2:7. Then the Lord God formed the man of dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living thing. So according to these definitions, the alchemists or chemists of old from hundreds of years ago described alcohol as to deaden senses, have body-taking qualities, and breathe or gave breath or life to something.
Now, let us first understand a little bit about what alcohol does to the brain scientifically.
It may be legal, but it is still a drug. Be safe, be sensible, know your limit. Alcohol is a drug too. Think before you drink. Your body belongs to you. The purpose of this presentation is to help you understand the impact that alcohol has on your brain and the damage it can do. Our goal is to provide you with information which will enable you to make informed choices in relation to safe alcohol consumption. Did you know? Healthy people metabolize alcohol at a fairly consistent rate. As a rule of thumb, a person will eliminate 1 standard drink or 10 mils of alcohol per hour. And remember, it's not how many drinks you have, but how much alcohol you consume. Several factors influence this rate, including gender, age, height, weight, general health, the presence of food in the stomach, the concentration of alcohol in the drink, and prescription or illicit drugs taken by the person. It's the blood alcohol concentration, or BAC, which is the key to why we are affected by alcohol. Basically, your blood alcohol concentration is the relationship between the total amount of alcohol in your system divided by total body water, because alcohol is dissolved and diluted in water. So that's also why drinking lots of water with any alcohol consumption is a really good thing. The BAC and the effects of alcohol go up when the body is taking in alcohol faster than it can metabolize it. For example, if you binge drink and consume a 750ml bottle of rum or 3 bottles of wine, that's around 26 standard drinks, between 6 p.m. and 2 a.m, your body will need until sometime around 6 p.m. the next day to process and get rid of the alcohol. And that's why driving or operating equipment the next day is not only illegal, but just crazy, particularly when you consider what this is doing to your brain. Let me explain. Alcohol enters the body and ends up in the stomach, at which point about 20% is absorbed immediately, and the other 80% is absorbed in the small intestine. The heart then pumps the absorbed alcohol to every part of the body, including the central nervous system, which consists of the brain and spinal cord, and it gets to the brain really fast. So that's why even after just 1 drink, you can feel lightheaded or relaxed. Alcohol acts primarily on the nerve cells within the brain and interferes with communication between nerve cells and all other cells, slowing everything down. And that's why when we drink even a little, we experience the effects of alcohol on our emotions, judgment, balance, memory, speech, and anger levels, just to name a few. Did you know that your brain is still developing until you're around 20 to 25? So we need to be really careful because alcohol can do some irreversible damage to various parts of our brains. For example, drinking affects the cerebral cortex, which controls our senses, and inhibitory centers, which is why when you drink, you become more talkative, more self-confident, and less socially inhibited. It also controls our thought processes, so alcohol affects our ability to make good judgment or think clearly. The brain's frontal lobes are important for planning, forming ideas, making decisions, and using self-control. So when alcohol affects the frontal lobes of the brain, you may find it hard to control emotions and urges, and you may act without thinking, and even sometimes become violent or act completely out of character. Does this sound familiar? The cerebellum is important for coordination, thinking and being aware. So again, you may have trouble with these skills when alcohol affects the cerebellum. That's why people affected by alcohol sometimes can't walk properly or lose their balance and fall. The hippocampus is the part of the brain where memories are made. So when alcohol reaches the hippocampus, you may have trouble remembering something you just heard, or even worse, have a blackout and not be able to remember what you did last night. If alcohol damages the hippocampus, you may find it hard to learn or remember things in the future. The hypothalamus is a small part of the brain that does an amazing number of the body's housekeeping chores. After a person drinks alcohol, blood pressure, hunger, thirst, and the urge to urinate increases, while body temperature and heart rate decreases. And finally, the medulla controls the body's automatic actions, such as your heartbeat. It also keeps the body at the right temperature. Because alcohol chills the body, drinking a lot of alcohol outdoors in cold weather can cause a person's body temperature to fall below normal. This dangerous condition is called hypothermia. Your body belongs to you. Get the facts. Alcohol is unsafe for the developing brain. Alcohol can damage your brain forever. The long-term functioning and health of your brain depends on the choices you make today. Your responsible attitude toward alcohol can have a positive influence on your friends and family. Your body belongs to you. Take care of it. It's the only one you have.
As soon as you start consuming alcohol or any other mind-altering substance, you immediately begin to slowly lose and surrender control of your body because the substance immediately begins to affect your brain and your central nervous system. Why do people who drink even allow themselves to drink to the point that they are no longer in control of what they do and say? Well, the video explains that alcohol affects the frontal lobe, which is the part of the brain that handles our judgment, which is impaired and not functioning properly as a result of the effects of alcohol, which explains why some people who egregiously abuse alcohol continue to consume the substance even though they are already sloppy drunk, and why they do illogical things like trying to drive when they can barely walk to their car. These are all due to biological and psychological changes that were clearly explained and described in the video. Nevertheless, what the video did not explain is why people impacted by alcohol consumption almost always do things and behave in a way that is destructive, hurtful, offensive, and sometimes downright evil to either themselves or to others. Why is it that alcohol always brings out the bad in people and not the good? I believe it's because alcohol's biological effects on the human body deadens man's soul or consciousness and allow it to be possessed by an evil spirit while under the influence, causing man to do things that are more risque and dangerous to himself and his fellow man. I truly believe that Satan is successfully using this substance in a big way to win souls and destroy lives, and statistics seem to indicate and prove this to be true.
The Center of Disease Control reports that over 50% of adults 18 years of age and over drink regularly, and over 13% are moderate drinkers. Today, alcohol is involved in 37% of all traffic deaths among persons aged 16 to 20. Indeed, the evidence now suggests a need to target prevention efforts to young people. Analysis by NIH scientists indicate that over 70% of people in crashes caused by alcohol met alcohol dependence criteria, but most have never been arrested or received treatment. This suggests that there are quite a lot of people out there who are dependent on alcohol but don't know it. age studies reveal that young people who begin drinking before age 15 are 4 times more likely to develop alcohol dependence during their lifetime than those who begin drinking at age 21 or later.
Clearly, alcohol is a pretty pervasive problem and a serious one as well, especially if using alcohol really does allow evil spirits to possess people. These videos of these people behind me falling down all over the place are kind of comical. However, if you consider the fact that these people have consumed so much of a mind-altering substance that they are not in control of their own bodies, mind, and thoughts, and are a danger to themselves and others, then their behavior is not that funny. In fact, there's a story in the Bible that really provides a good example about how serious we should take drunkenness. The story is about Noah in Genesis chapter 9, verses 20 through 25, reading from the King James Version. And Noah began to be an husbandman, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his 2 brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father. And their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. Now, this story is very controversial, a very controversial story, one that typically elicits much discussion and debate, but I use it here only to make the point that a curse was apparently placed on Ham's son for the way Ham failed to look after his father Noah and seemingly made fun of him during his drunkenness. I also point out this story to prove what Ecclesiastes 1:9 states, that there is nothing new under the sun. The problems of today, though they may be taking place in larger numbers and with more severity, they are nonetheless the problems of old. I hope that this video will cause you to at least consider the possibility that alcohol could be a tool used by Satan to take control of people for evil intentions, and that you consider sharing this information with someone who you think may benefit from it. This video is being placed and made available on DVD and can be purchased by going to www.kingdomknowledge.info. Thank you for watching. God bless. Peace and love.
A lot. And I know it was intense. I'm going to get into some more discussions about it probably tomorrow, God's willing. We have just a few minutes again before the end of the show. I just want to say this quickly before we go to our phone interview with a very good friend of mine concerning domestic violence in relation to their whole romantic story. Ask yourself several questions. The first one being, why would you want to take something that controls you? Why would you want to take something that dead or kills your senses? Just ask yourself that question. I mean, we could go on and on, but ask yourself those 2 questions. Number 3, is that my worth? Is that your worth? I was there, and I know my worth now. Joining me on the line at this time as we examine this whole issue of domestic violence and its link to drug abuse, we have a very good friend of mine, Ms. Shona Alexander. She's the Executive Director and founder of the Organization for Abused and Battered Individuals. Good afternoon to you.
Hi, good afternoon, Sheldon. How are you?
I am wonderful. I don't know where you are, but I just showed a documentary on alcohol and the spiritual link to alcoholism and other drugs as well. And I was making the point that, I mean, the reason why I want to talk to you because I want women out there, and, you know, there are even some men who are at the hand of abuse. Well, of course, you know, the dominant, gender being women, who are under attack daily. And many of the times the aggressor, the abuser, you find that there's a link to addiction. And people need to understand that there is a spiritual link to addiction, whether you want to admit it or not. Tell us a little bit about the organization for those who don't know, and do you agree with what the stats are saying, that you are finding more domestic violence cases, more so on these long weekends when drinking and drug abuse tends to be on the rise?
Yes, Sheldon, to the listening, audience, I would like to say good afternoon. And yes, I do agree with the link, but a bit about our organization. It was founded in 2008 and officially launched in 2011. So we also recently launched our organization center, which is termed VASCO, a Victim Advocacy Service Center and Office. It was launched in the 14th of February, that's just a little over a month ago, to be a support base for victims of domestic violence and their families, but also to assist individuals on the whole in becoming self-sustainable through whatever crisis that they may be experiencing.
Right.
And to go back to your question of whether or not I accept or believe that there are links between domestic violence and substance abuse, I would certainly say yes, because the international studies have proven it. Hazel Brown did some level of research a few years ago regarding the link between long weekends and extended holidays and the increase in domestic violence during those times. You also have the World Health Organization that did a fact sheet on intimate partner violence and alcohol abuse, and the International Alcohol Institute or Institute of Alcohol Studies also published a report in 2014 on alcohol, domestic abuse, and sexual assault. So there's clear-cut evidence of the linkages.
What do you think now? You know, again, I speak very openly against the whole alcohol use and so forth. Do you think we need to have a lot more regulations in this country in terms of how we even promote alcohol and alcohol abuse in this, well, alcohol in terms of purchasing? Do you think we need to even approach, look at this from a marketing perspective in terms of how we deal with it? Because again, it's glorified. Just about a couple of minutes, sure, now I know the time is short. But do you think, you know, there's too much glorification of alcohol and we need to sometimes even look at that from a holistic perspective in light of how it's affecting our society today?
Yes, we need to basically look at the regulation of legislation, actually, in regulating the availability of alcohol. So, like reducing the alcohol availability, regulating alcohol prices, treatment for alcohol use disorder, and screening before interventions. Because I must make this point clear before we close with a few minutes, is that not every case of domestic violence, the perpetrator is an alcoholic.
Of course.
Yeah. So
you're just going with this particular story today, I understand.
Yeah. And I agree with you also that there are spiritual dynamics in play that play out regarding the alcohol abuse and also the violence.
All right, Shona, I want to thank you very much. I hope we can have you on set sometime when we have spent some more time and talk about the organization and what you've been doing for women like yourself. And I know there are other NGOs as well that, of course, are providing help for women. And we'll give more information during the week as to how to make contact with you. So thanks again.
Great.
And I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for having me, Sheldon.
No problem. Take care.
Yes.
All right, that's Ms. Shona Alexander. We'll be actually working together in some of these cases that we brought before you. So again, you'll see more of her on the program. At this time, I think let's take a short break, shall we? Or let's go straight to let's go straight now to our Be Inspired segment of course, in the essence of time. Let's go. All right. And welcome. There are two ways of spreading light: to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it. Let me say it again. There are two ways of spreading light: to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it. I love that one, Edith Wharton. And we need to be a light. We need to represent the light of Christ in everything that we do. And this next song is going to take us out this afternoon. And many people today are feeling as if they're drowning. You know what? Hold on to the lifeline. That's God's grace, and you won't drown. Take care. Thanks to the ACTN team, all the guys, and to my makeup artist. Should I call her name? I'll surprise you that one tomorrow, God's willing. Let's go now to our video this evening, Drowning, as we end the program. Take care of yourselves and each other. Repeat, of course, this program at 6 p.m. this evening. God bless.
Thought I would slip, but I'm losing my grip. Tell me what am I to do? I feel so confused. I don't know if I'm abused or used. Never felt like this before. Never wanted to ignore when you call me, when you call me. Hey, but I'm drowning in an ocean full of pain. And Lord, I never called your name. Lord, I hurt you. Lord, I hurt you. Whoa, whoa, yeah. So be my lifeguard and rescue me and save me from drowning in the sea. Hey, I'm calling your name, 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 name. Oh, I'm calling your name, name, name. Oh, oh, yeah.
I've been swimming in sin, Lord, for a while now. I think I'm in too deep cause I can't even feel the ground. Yeah, you keep calling, you keep reaching for me. Yeah. And all these feelings here inside. Some days I just can't decide. Behind these walls I try to hide it, but ain't no use in fighting. Lord, I need you. Now I'm drowning in an ocean full of pain. And Lord, I never call your name. Lord, I hurt you. Lord, I hurt you.
So be my lifeguard and rescue me and save me from drowning in the sea. Hey, I'm calling you now.
You got some explaining to do. Wait. What's this I hear about you wanting to change?
Give my life to Christ.
Christ? What that have to do with me and my money?
Half.
Half. Half my money?
Change. I can't live like this
You
again.
can't change. You cost too much and you do too much.
Give my life to Christ.
You give your life to Christ? Well, tonight I'll take it. Trust me.
Nah. But I trust in God.
God. Drowning.
This song is for anybody out there who ever felt alone. Know that Jesus, He'll always be there.